Today, we're plugging into one of the most incredible and, yeah, controversial technologies of our time, Neuralink. We're going to break down how the very first human mind was brought online. So let's just get right into it.
Think about this for a second. You're sitting there, looking at a computer screen, and with nothing but a thought, you're moving the cursor. You're clicking on things. You're playing a game. I mean, it's the stuff of science fiction, right? We've seen it in movies our whole lives. But what if I told you it's not fiction anymore?
That's right. As of 2024, that barrier between the human brain and a computer, it's officially been broken. And what we're talking about here is a technology called a brain-computer interface. You'll hear it called a BCI.
So what is a BCI, really? Well, think of it like this. Every time you have a thought, your brain cells fire off these tiny little electrical signals. A BCI is basically a translator. It reads those signals and turns them into commands a computer can understand. It's a direct line from your thoughts to digital action, completely skipping your body.
And that brings us right to Neuralink, the company at the center of all this. So how did they actually manage to do it? It all kicks off with this really remarkable piece of hardware.
The heart of the whole thing is the N1 implant. It's this little coin-sized chip that sits right in your skull. But the real magic, the part that's just mind-blowing, are the 96 polymer threads that come off of it. They're thinner than a single human hair, and they go directly into the brain. And these threads are loaded with over 1,000 electrodes, all listening to your neurons. And get this, it streams all that brain data over Bluetooth and charges wirelessly, no plugs.
Now, you're probably thinking, how on earth do you implant something that delicate? The short answer is, a human can't, not with the necessary precision. So Neuralink had to build a special surgical robot, the R1, to do the job. It uses this advanced computer vision to map the brain, dodging tiny blood vessels, and then it inserts every single one of those threads with a steadiness and accuracy that's just, well, it's physically impossible for a human hand.
Okay, so the tech is there, it's incredible on paper, but the real question, the only one that matters, is does it actually work in a person? And that leads us to the first human trial, which was called the PRIME study.
And let me tell you, the road to this moment moved fast. In May of 2023, the FDA gave them the go-ahead. Just a few months later, by September, Neuralink started looking for people to join the study, specifically people with quadriplegia. And then, in January 2024, it happened. The first implant was successfully completed.
And this is the man who stepped up to be at the center of it all. His name is Nolan Arbaugh. He's 30 years old and was paralyzed from the shoulders down after a diving accident. He volunteered to be the very first person to get the N1 implant, a true pioneer on this new frontier.
And the surgery itself was just amazingly smooth. Because of that R1 robot, the procedure was so precise and minimally invasive that Nolan was out of the hospital in just 24 hours. I mean, think about that. One day after getting a computer chip put in his brain.
So what happened next? What was it like? Within weeks, Nolan was controlling a computer cursor with his mind. And in his own words, it felt like magic. He actually said it was like using the Force from Star Wars. He could just stare at the screen and it would move where he wanted it to.
I mean, this was a huge success, a genuine breakthrough moment for humanity. But this story isn't just about the promise. Like with all brand new science, it's also about the peril. Because that incredible triumph was followed pretty quickly by a major problem.
So you have this double-edged sword, right? On one side, the promise was totally fulfilled. A person with quadriplegia could use a computer just by thinking. Historic. But on the other side, a critical failure. Many of those super thin threads, they actually started to pull out of his brain. And the problem wasn't small. Not at all. The plan was for 100% of those threads to stay connected, obviously. But in the weeks after the surgery, about 85% of them pulled back. That left only a tiny fraction of the connection they were counting on, and it massively cut down on the amount of brain data the chip could actually read.
You know, this technical glitch is really just the tip of the iceberg. It opens up a whole can of worms. Huge questions we have to ask. I mean, besides the hardware itself, what are the long-term biological risks? How will the body react to this thing years from now? What about infection? And then you get into the really tricky ethical territory. Who owns your thoughts? Can someone hack your brain? And if this tech really works, who gets to have it? Is it just for the rich? Will it create a whole new level of inequality?
But even with all these challenges, the door is now open. It can't be closed. And Neuralink is already dreaming way, way bigger than just moving a cursor. So let's look at the future they're imagining, from the immediate goals to the really far-out stuff.
Okay, so in the short term, the focus is all about medicine. The goals are amazing. We're talking about helping paralyzed people move robotic limbs again, giving a voice back to patients who are completely locked in their bodies, maybe even creating a type of blind sight by sending visual signals straight to the brain, completely bypassing damaged eyes. And then there's the possibility of treating things like severe depression by directly adjusting brain activity.
But the long-term vision, this is where things get really wild. We're not just talking about healing anymore. We're talking about cognitive augmentation, enhancing your memory or how fast you learn, seamlessly plugging our minds into virtual and augmented reality. And then there's the big one, the potential for direct brain-to-brain communication. Basically, technological telepathy.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. We've seen how this could heal people, restore what was lost. But as this technology gets better and better, we as a species are going to have to decide, where do we draw the line between fixing a problem and enhancing a person? It's a question we're all going to have to answer, and probably a lot sooner than we think.